Hello everybody, Hate the Vlogger Guy here. It is December 23rd. The big day is drawing very close. Coming down on the last two readings of my Christmas readings. And if this is your first time to my page, please subscribe. You also ring that bell and that will notify you anytime I put any new content out. If you're liking this, then give me a thumbs up. Also, feel free to share this video because that will help get it out to more eyes. And tonight's book I picked is Rudolph. What a better book to read before tomorrow's night before Christmas. So, this is actually a two-story book, but I'm only going to read the first story, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. I'm hoping to get through this. I got to get into bed early tonight because I got an early day tomorrow. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get started here. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. 'Twas the day before Christmas, and all through the hills the reindeers were playing, enjoying their spills. Well, every so often they'd stop and call names at one little deer not allowed in their games. Ha ha, look at Rudolph. His nose is a sight. It's red as a beet, twice as big, twice as bright, while Rudolph was just crying. What else could he do? He was not the thing they were saying were true. Where most reindeers' noses are brown and tiny, poor Rudolph's was red, very large and very shiny. In daylight it sparkled. The picture shows that. At night, it glowed like an eye of a cat. Although he was lonesome, he always was good, obeyed his parents as good reindeers should. That's why, on this day, Rudolph almost felt playful. He hoped that from Santa soon driving the sleigh. Appearance of presents in candy and dolls and toys for good little animals, good girls and boys. He got just as much, and this is what pleased him, as the happier, handsome reindeers who teased him. So as night and a fog hit the world like a hood, he went to bed. He knew he'd been good. While way up north, on the same foggy night, old Santa was packing his sleigh for the flight. "This fog," he called out, "will be hard to get through." He shook his head, and his tummy shook too. Without any stars or a moon as our compass, this extra dark night is quite likely to swamp us. To keep from the smash-up, we'll have to fly slow. To see where we are going, we have to fly low. We'll steer by the street lamps and houses tonight in order to finish before it gets light. Just think how the boys and girls' hopes will be shaken if we don't reach them before they awaken. Come dance, Dasher, come Dancer, come Prancer and Vixen, come Comet, come Cupid, come Donner and Blitzen. Be quick with your supper. Get hitched in a hurry. You too will find fog and delay and a worry. And Santa was right, as he usually is. The fog was thick as a soda white fizz. He tangled in treetops again and again, and barely missed hitting a speeding plane. Just not getting lost needed all Santa's skills, with the street signs and numbers more difficult still. He still made good speed, with much twisting and turning, as long as the street lamps and houses lit were burning. At each house, first checked what people might live there. He quickly picked out the right presents to give there. But light will be out after midnight, he said, for even most parents have to then gone to bed, because it might wake them and match with deny him. Oh my, how he wished for just one star to guide him through dark streets and houses. Old Santa did poorly. He now picked the presents more slowly, less surely. He really was worried, for what would he do if folks started waking before he was through? The night was still foggy and not all clear when Santa arrived at the house of a deer. On the roof, with a cloud all around, he searched for the chimney and finally found it. The room he came down in was blanker than ink. He went for a chair, and it turned out a sink. The first reindeer's bedroom was very black. He tripped on a rug and burst open his pack, so dark that he had to move close to the bed and peek very hard at the sleeping deer's head before he could choose the right kind of toy, a doll for a girl or a train for a boy. But all this took time and filled Santa with gloom while feeling his way towards the next reindeer's room. The door he just opened when, to his surprise, a soft glow red color light met his eyes. The lamp wasn't burning. The light came instead from something that laid at the head of the bed. And there lay, but wait now, what would you suppose? The glowing, you've guessed it, was Rudolph's red nose. So this room was easy. This one little light let Santa pick quickly. The gift were right. How happy he was till he went out the door. The rest of the house was black as before. So black that it made every step a dark mystery. And then came the greatest ideal in all history. He went back to Rudolph and started to shake him, of course very gently, in order to wake him. And Rudolph could hardly believe his eyes. You just can't imagine his joy and surprise at seeing who stood there at the paw's length away, and told of the darkness and the fog and delay. and Santa's great worry that the children might awake before he completed Christmas trip had been taken. And you, he told Rudolph, may yet save the day. Your bright shiny nose, son, can show us the way. I need you, young fella, to help me tonight, to lead all my dear on the rest of the flight. Rudolph broke out into such a big grin, it almost connected to his ears and his chin. He scribbled a note to his folks in a hurry. I've gone to help Santa, he wrote. Don't worry, said Santa. Meet me in my sleigh on the lawn. You'd stick in the chimney. In flash, he was gone. So Rudolph pranced out through the door, very gray, and took his proud place at the head of the sleigh. The rest of the night, well, what would you guess? Old Santa's idea was brilliant. And brilliant was almost no word for the way that Rudolph directed the deer on the sleigh. In spite of the fog, they flew quickly and low and made such good use of the wonderful glow that shone out of Rudolph at each intersection that now every once did they lose their direction. At all the houses and streets with a sign on them, the sleigh flew real low so Rudolph could shine on them, to tell who lived there and just what to give whom. They stopped by each window and peeked in the room. Old Santa knew always which children were good and mind their parents and ate what they should. So Santa would pick out the gift that was right, with Rudolph close by making just enough light. It all went so fast that before the day the very last present was given, the very last stocking was filled to the top, just as the sun prepared to pop. The sun woke the reindeer in Rudolph's hometown. They found a short message that he had written down. Then gathering outside to wait his return, and were they surprised at exactly to learn that Rudolph, the ugliest deer of them all, Rudolph the red-nosed, bashful and small, the funniest-faced fellow that always called names and practically never allowed in their games, was now to be the envy of all, far and near. For no greater honor can come to a deer than riding with Santa and guiding his sleigh, the number one job on the number one day. The sleigh and its reindeer soon came into view, and Rudolph still led them as downward they flew. Oh my, was he proud as they came to a landing, right where the handsome playmates were standing. The same deer who used to do nothing but tease him would now have done anything only to please him. They felt ever sorrier that they had been bad when Santa said, Rudolph, I'll never have had a deer quite so brave or so brilliant as you at the flight at fighting in black fog and steering me through. But you last night's journey was actually bossed without you. I'm certain we'd all have been lost. I hope you'll continue to keep up from grief or future dark trips. And Commander-in-Chief. Well, Rudolph just blushed his head to his toes till all his fur was as red as his nose. The crowd clapped their paws and then started to screech, "Hooray for our Rudolph!" And we want a speech, but Rudolph, still bashful despite his heroism, was tired. He slept on the trip total 0. So that was his speech, was quite short and not bright. Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good night. And that's why, whenever it's foggy and gray, it's Rudolph's red nose who guides Santa's sleigh. But listen this Christmas, but don't make a peep, 'cause that late at night children should be asleep. The very first sound that you'll hear on the roof, that is, if there's fog, will be Rudolph's small hoofs. As soon after that, if you still as a mouse, you may hear a swish as he flies around the house and shines enough light to give Santa a view, or your room. And when they're all through, you may hear them call as they drive out of sight. Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good night. Thank you for listening to me stumble through that book at times. I am definitely not the best reader in the world. But until we see each other again tomorrow, good night.